Just 25 miles from downtown Tennessee in the city of Lebanon sits a very unique 1.3-mile concrete track that has embraced the sport of NASCAR since its debut to the Cup calendar in 2021. Today is going to be hot and slick for the stars of the Cup Series to tackle on this racetrack as we continue the countdown in the race to the playoffs. The 19th race of the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series is at the Nashville Superspeedway for the running of the Ally 400. The weather here in Lebanon, Tennessee is going to be hot and muggy, temperature in the high 80s and low 90s, but it could really feel like nearly 100 degrees. Even a heat advisory has been suggested throughout the weekend. 65% chance of rain, 71% humidity with a 9-mile-per-hour wind heading north-northwest towards the racetrack. Welcome everyone back to an episode of MDK RaceDay. My name is Jet. Hope we're having a wonderful Sunday for the last race in the month of June here on MDK as we get ready to tackle on the Nashville Super Speedway. Now, following last weekend at Loudon that saw a wild race with wet weather tires and all that stuff, Christopher Bell took the victory for his third win of 2024. However, a change also took place in the points lead. With Chase Elliott's issues, Kyle Larson, his teammate, now regains the points lead in a tie with teammate Chase Elliott. However, with Larson having more wins, Larson gets the advantage. Hamlin stays in third, Truex and Reddick, as well as Christopher Bell, who gain one spot each for fourth and fifth, while Bell gains 2 spots. Byron, the biggest loser, loses 3 spots in the process. Blaney loses a spot. Chastain up to 9th, and Brad Keselowski falls back down to 10th. First to 10th place, all within 113 points. However, a big change in the playoff grid. Now 11th, 12th, and 13th really hasn't changed much. Truex, Chastain, and Gibbs all 1 or 2 races ahead of the cut line. Bowman now just within that 60-point gap, plus 59. Buescher plus 50. But the big change is who is now in 16th place, with Wallace being involved in a crash with Noah Gragson. Logano, who was involved in a crash with Chase Elliott, did get those stage points. Now he holds the final transfer spot, 13 points ahead of Bubba Wallace. Chase Briscoe now jumps up to 18th, minus 25. Kyle Busch with his crash falls to 19th, minus 45, and Josh Berry rounds out the 20 field with minus 73 points below the cut line. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR and proud sponsor of the Busch Light Polo Award given to the fastest driver at each NASCAR Cup Series event. Busch Light congratulates Denny Hamlin for the second time this year, his second pole at Nashville, and the 42nd pole of his career, winning it with a speed of 160.354 miles per hour. Since 2020, Busch Beer has invested more than $70 million in becoming one of the NASCAR Cup Series premier sponsors. So here's a look at the full 38 car field for the 2024 Ally 400. Starting alongside Denny Hamlin is Josh Berry, continuing the momentum after finishing in the top 3 last weekend at Loudon. He starts on the outside of row 1. Row 2 has Christopher Bell, last week's winner, and Kyle Larson, who won the inaugural race here back in 2021. Row 3 has Brad Keselowski and Tyler Reddick in the 45 car, who had a strong car here last year until issues on pit road took him out of contention. Row 4 has William Brown in the 24 and Ty Gibbs in the 54, with rounding out the top 10 being Chris Buescher and Austin Cindric in the 2 car. Row 6 has Austin Dillon, number 3 car. It's been a while since we've seen him up front. He starts alongside Alex Bowman in the Ally Nashville 48 Chevrolet. Row 7 has Chase Elliott, the 2022 Nashville winner, starting alongside Michael McDowell in the 34 car. Row 8 has rookie Carson Hocevar in the 77 Ziegler Chevrolet, starting alongside Noah Gragson in the Winchester SHR Ford. Row 9 has Martin Truex Jr. for his final run here at Nashville, starting alongside Ryan Blaney in the 12 car. And finally rounding out the top 20 is Chase Briscoe in the number 14 car, trying to continue on his momentum from his second place finish at Loudon. And Ross Chastain, the defending winner here at Nashville, starts in the 20th position. Row 11 has Corey LaJoie in the number 7 Chevrolet, starting alongside Ryan Preece in the 41. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Bubba Wallace, who has been pretty good here so far this weekend at Nashville, as well as overall. He has had some pretty strong runs in the past couple races here at Nashville. They are positioned in 23rd and 24th. Row 13 has Harrison Byrne and Joey Logano, who now holds, like I said, the final cut line 13 points ahead of the driver ahead of him, Bubba Wallace. Row 14 has Kyle Busch just trying to turn something around after what has arguably the worst month of his racing career in the Cup Series. So far not looking too good, starting in the 27th position, started alongside AJ Allmendinger in a 16 car. And running out the top 30 is Corey Heim, competing once again back in the NASCAR Cup Series, this time driving the number 50 car for 2311 Racing, starting alongside Riley Herbst in the number 15 car. And in the final page, in the final 4 rows, is Daniel Suarez in the Tootsie Chevrolet, starting alongside Todd Gillen, Justin Haley, and Eric Jones in the Family Dollar Toyota in row 17. Row 18 has John Hunter Nemechek and rookie Zane Smith. And rounding out the 38 car field is Daniel Hemrick and Chad Fincham. Here's a look at the opening odds to win for the LA 400. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin still top of the board, plus 425 and 550 for Larson and Hamlin respectively. Last week's winner, Christopher Bell, plus 600, and the previous 2 winners, Chastain, plus 750, and Chase Elliott, plus 800. Teammate William Byron and Mark Jr. plus 900 respectively. Reddick and Blaney at 1,000 each, with Joey Logano running out the first page at plus 1,800. And then we start to get into the real long shots, like Brad Keselowski plus 2,200, Gibbs 25, Chris Buescher at 3,000, Kyle Busch 3,500, Alex Bowman 4,500, and then into the real long shots, Bubba Wallace, who could be a dark horse here in this race here today, sitting at plus 5,000. Josh Berry, the rookie, plus 5,500, even though he's starting on the outside pole. How about Corey Heim, plus 6,500? Not too bad odds for the number 50 driver. Daniel Suarez at plus 8,000, and Noah Gragson at plus 9,000. So what can we expect here at Nashville tonight? Well, it's going to be hot and slick. Like I said, there is a good chance of rain throughout the area. We'll wait and see if it does become a factor in this race here today. Probably not. There is a chance that maybe the race might get pushed back a little bit due to rain that is expected to maybe take place around the Nashville area. But like I said, hot and slick. It could get up to past 90 degrees, near 100 could feel like. So it's going to be very hot for the drivers and very hot for the fans. Now, Chevrolet, they have won every single race here at Nashville at the moment. Larson 21, Chastain in 23 last year, and Chase Elliott sandwiched in the middle in 2022. But Chastain and Elliott won their races at night. Larson's the only one that won it in the daytime. And with the race moving back to the daytime, practice is going to be very key to see who has the real advantage here today. Now, one thing that we have kind of noticed throughout the past few weeks is Chevrolet has kind of struggled in recent weeks. Ford and Toyota have definitely stepped up their game, and they proved it last weekend at New Hampshire, with Ford and Toyota basically covering almost the entirety of the top 10 with the exception of Kyle Larson. I mean, so far 19 races in, Chevrolet has only won with 4 different drivers: Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez, and William Byron. And by the way, Elliott and Suarez, they've only won 1 apiece, with Byron and Larson winning 3 apiece. So not much variety in terms of the variety of Chevrolet drivers competing here this season. Now history may tell us that the winner of this race is going to be up front. The previous 3 winners, all 3 winners at Nashville, have started 5th place or better. 5th, 4th, and Chastain, who won the pole last year, won the race. So that gives the idea that maybe that if you want to win the race at Nashville, you have to be up front. I don't think that's going to be the case. With the way the qualifying format set up for this year has kind of made it very confusing, and in my eyes, it doesn't really tell the full story of who is truly the fastest driver. I think in my eyes, the fastest driver is going to come from the drivers that are mid-pack. Now, Ty Gibbs, who's starting 8th, had the fastest lap in the one and only practice session, but you look at some of the drivers that were fastest in longer lap averages. Bubba Wallace was fastest in the 5 lap averages, and Ryan Blaney was fastest in the 10, 15, and 20 lap averages. Also, Ross Chastain throughout the entirety of the 5, 10, 15, and 20 lap averages were also very fast. And keep in mind, those 3 drivers, they're starting 18th, 20th, and 24th respectively. So the way it looks like based on that practice session, because it is probably going to take place in similar conditions as race day, seems to me that the fastest cars are not the ones that are starting up front. That doesn't mean though we should not just push them to the side, because you do have drivers like Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell who starting in row 2. Denny Hamlin on the pole position. He's obviously going to be a driver that you're just going to have to look out for. Ty Gibbs, he could be a spoiler, could show some speed. Like I said, starting in the 8th position. So it's not like we should just leave the first 5 rows out of the way, but you should maybe put more of a focus on the drivers starting in positions row 6 to row 10, as they could be as that could be the sweet spot for somewhere it could be the fastest cars may be coming out of. Now let's talk about some of the drivers around the playoff cutoff line, specifically drivers like Logano, Wallace, Kyle Busch, and Chase Briscoe. Now Joey Logano has the best finish out of all those drivers that I mentioned. He has one of the best finishes so far out of all drivers with a 12.7 and has finished in the top 10 in 2 of the 3 Nashville races. However, it is an intermediate, so that is a question mark you have to consider on whether or not Ford will be showing up, specifically Joe Logano. Logano has been a very hit or miss this season, only seems to excel at the tracks like the 1 mile tracks and or the short tracks. But this track is a bit bigger, it's 1.3 miles, and it's fully concrete. So you could look at maybe a track like Dover or a track like Bristol in terms of the full concrete racetracks. Obviously, you can't compare that with Nashville, but that's something just to consider. With the intermediate races, I feel like that this would fall more back on the Chevrolet side of things. The past few weeks, it was tracks that favored more the Ford and Toyotas. Iowa and Loudon would favor tracks probably not necessarily towards Chevrolet's hand, but like I said, Chevrolet has won every single race at Darlington, so it wouldn't be crazy to see Chevrolet kind of show up again. Because of that, you could maybe look at a guy like Kyle Busch to maybe get something out there. He did not start that well. He's starting in the 20th position, I believe, but a guy like his teammate, Austin Dillon, is starting in 11th place. Not too bad, but you would expect the complete opposite from the RCR stable. And you look at a guy like Kyle Busch, and his record at Nashville is not that great. Only 1 top 10, and his best finish was 9th. That was taking place last year at Nashville. He's at an average driver rating of 95.0, so he's not too bad. 9th, 21st, and 11th. Those are 3 finishes at Nashville. So it's not too bad, his run at that racetrack. But when you consider the position that he is in, he's 19th in points, 40-some points below the cut line. And you look at the drivers that he has to beat. He has to beat guys like Logano and Bubba Wallace, who I feel like are much faster than him in terms of speed overall. Not so much in terms of talent, but when you look at how the 22 and the 23 have run compared to how the 8 cars run, the first 2 that I just mentioned definitely have much more speed. Now, this is where the other part comes in, that is consistency, and that's where we bring in the 23 car. The 23 car, in my opinion, they have a lot more speed than what they've what the results show. Okay, the results don't tell the full story. Now, the past few weeks, definitely. Now, the past couple races, definitely the 23 has struggled. But I think overall, in terms of the intermediates, they can get back to their forte of running in the top 10. And Nashville is a track where the 23 car, he can run well at. In 2022, they had a great car until issues on pit road basically took them out of contention. Last year, they qualified 9th, won some stage points, even though they finished 15th. So they are capable, I think, the 23 car is, and especially when you look at how good they have been so far this week and in that one and only practice session, they can be a good contender to score some stage points and eat away at Logano's lead. But to overtake that is a completely different story. But that's going to be very interesting to watch, is that bubble area. I also can't forget about Chase Briscoe. That 14 car has bring in some momentum, finishing, I think, in 3rd place last weekend at New Hampshire, trying to continue that momentum. I've said that SHR, they're getting slowly but surely better and better and better. Chase Briscoe, I can't see why not. He can't be the type of guy that can continue that momentum onto Nashville. Starting 19th, not too bad. It wasn't great, but not too bad in practice. But when you do take a look at his record at Nashville, he is still looking for his first top 30 finish. That is absolutely wild to say. 31st, 34th, and 31st have been his finishes at Nashville. The fact that he's still trying to find a top 30 finish is very concerning for the 14 car when you consider the situation that he is in. He had a great one last week in New Hampshire, but that was last week. You can't keep the momentum, but when you look at the record, it is, you have to be careful when if you're a Chase Briscoe fan, or if you're trying to pick Chase Briscoe to do anything special. I think they are capable of doing that, but again, history tells a different story. Now let's take a look at my fantasy live lineup for Nashville tonight. I've got Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, just because you got to have Kyle Larson in there. I have Josh Berry starting 2nd. I do feel like that he could continue this momentum. I got him starting up front. I got him in my lineup. I got Ross Chastain, last year's winner. I do have Ryan Blaney, who won at Iowa a couple weeks ago, and he has been very strong here in practice. I got Bubba Wallace there, another driver that's been pretty strong in practice, and Wallace is the type of guy that I have in my garage, just in case. Again, I do feel like they have speed, but inconsistency with that 23 team in recent weeks, that's why I have him in my garage. I'm very iffy on Chase Briscoe, even though I have Josh Berry, I should say. Even though I have him in my starters lineup, I'm very iffy on him because very rare do we see SHR start well and end well, but I'm willing to give it a try. That's why I have the 4 car there, but just in case I have the 23 in my garage. But the driver that I have winning is the 12 car of Ryan Blaney. They have been, like I said, on it so far this weekend, bringing in momentum. That 12 car and Ford as a whole has been getting a lot more momentum. One last week, like I said, or a couple weeks ago at Iowa, like I mentioned. Only one top 10 here, and that was only one top 5, a 3rd place a couple years ago. That's the only time he's actually ever finished in the top 20. So I think that says a lot. The other 2 times he's wrecked. So again, I think that says a lot. He could either run well or wreck, I think, at Nashville. But like I said earlier, I feel like that the best car, the driver that's going to have a shot at winning, is going to come not from up front, but from mid-pack, which is where Ryan Blaney is. So I got him winning this race here tonight. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on who you think is going to win at Nashville, and what do you think is going to happen? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, as soon as the race is over, about an hour and a half after the race is done, check back here on MDK for a victory lap recap over everything that took place at Nashville. But until then, sit back, relax, and enjoy the 2024 Ally 400 from Nashville. We'll see you next time right here on MDK.